That was the greatest flyweight fight in UFC history. Some might harken back to, I think, December 2020 at that UFC Apex, Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno fighting to a draw. But Alexandre Pantoja, parabéns, is your new UFC flyweight champion. He defeats Brandon Moreno by split decision, 48-47 times 2, dissenting judge. Ben Cartledge had it 49-46 for Brandon Moreno. What an absolute war. Tip of the cap, warrior spirit on both sides. The amount of heavy strikes, I watched this back. The amount of heavy strikes that landed on both sides was absolutely absurd. Like Brandon Moreno's face was unrecognizable, and yet he was the fighter who did more damage on the feet, right? Pantoja absolutely double dose on the Motrin today, but Moreno absorbed a ton of shots. There were not a lot of Brazilian fans to be heard from in that crowd, right? And I do think that Mexican contingent might have played a little bit into that wayward 4-1 scorecard. More on that later, but congratulations to both athletes. And as I am so fond of saying, there's nothing for me in this job quite like seeing an athlete break through and become a UFC champion for the first time. Congrats to Alexandre Pantoja. Your thoughts on an epic flyweight championship fight?
I think we will look back on this fight as one of the most iconic flyweight fights in UFC history. Just an awesome back and forth title fight that was drama filled. It was technical. It was intriguing the whole time. Both chins, hearts, and brains were tested in this championship fight. And that's what MMA is all about, right? So just amazing. And for Pantoja, he proved that he can go a hard 25 minutes and can go tit for tat against the best in the world in various aspects of the game. That's what I think was most surprising to me anyway. And he was game throughout, and he proved himself a very worthy champion. And he did it against a Brandon Moreno that I thought was in his best form. I thought Brandon Moreno looked way better than he did in his last fight. And from what I saw, he had more skills. But that's how good Pantoja is. It was just an amazing performance. He was too much for Brandon Moreno. And the other thing was the intelligence, executing those takedowns at the right time, getting positions, landing strikes at the right time. And that's where I thought Brandon Moreno would be able to take advantage because of his championship experience. Instead, it was Pantoja who was making those right decisions and executing at the right time to steal critical round. So just amazing there for the Brazilian Pantoja. Excellent stuff. Aside